differently from being recorded to act normal.
No, it's all good. It's weird for kids too, because I noticed like when your kids saw it, they're like looking back at the camera.
On some other ones that I made, I dimmed the screen and didn't tell them I was recording.
No, that's smart. I
mean,
it
was my first time, and they were like doing all this in front of it. So
it's tough because kids aren't going to act the same as they are, when that recording's on. They're always going to change their ways.
I can't act
whether better or worse, right? There's nothing you can do about it. No, it's all good. Good. No,
so you got a chance to look at the.
I watched the video and I was able to read the lesson, obviously, and kind of get your idea of what you're going to be doing. Now, your goal was to implement strategies to strengthen interests, right? That was kind of the goal of this lesson.
Oh, for the standard one, you mean?
Yeah. For this baseline, like what we were going to be talking about.
Right. Yes. Yeah. And I think we're gonna use this video as a comparison to the future videos to see if we're improving.
Absolutely. So I had a ton of different things that I was looking at. And I started at the top of the video, right at the beginning.
Sure.
And I noticed that you kind of just jumped right into things. And I was curious, like, what attention getters do you use at the beginning of a class? Like, when you're going to teach a lesson, do you just jump right in, or do you say
attention getters is mostly just get them to be quiet, which I just use as T.
I did see that a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was because I was videoing. I just felt like I needed to be more rather than like easing in.
Yeah, because I saw you start it and then you walked over. Yeah. It's just like I use different things in my class, and I've used them for a while. It's like saying hands and eyes at class, yes, and it gets kids to sit up straight and then they look at you. And I feel like sometimes if you just jump right in, then you're going to have kids that are looking around or doing different things. And if you have something, and it could be anything at all.
Right. Maybe this isn't enough.
This is good. This is great, I think, in the between, because the kids do listen and all of a sudden they're stopping.
Yeah.
And that may be to get them back into whatever you're doing, but maybe you need something just to get kids ready right away. Because kids are at different points in the lesson at different times.
Okay.
Doing different things. I just noticed that maybe you need something besides this, maybe in addition to that, to get the kids back to where you want them to be.
What did you say you use?
Hands and eyes. So if I say hands and eyes, all the kids say hands and eyes, and they go sit and they sit up.
Oh, they got to repeat it back.
And they drop whatever they're doing, and then they
verbal
put it
response would be good too. Yeah,
it helps. It helps. Or you can just do different things like, if you hear me, clap once. If you hear me, clap twice. If you hear me, put your hands on your head. If you hear me, put your hands over your eyes. Silly things get the kids to pay attention.
Good, okay.
Or you could just say, like, if you hear me, stand up, and the kids have to stand up wherever they are. Or if you hear me, sit down wherever you are. Whatever you want to do, like that. So attention getters really help in just getting them prepared for whatever lesson you're doing. And then I noticed that you kind of just jumped right into lesson. I know it was just probably nerves and you're filming, but you didn't really explain until midway what you were doing, like the sequencing. And you wrote it down on the board. And I was noticing, like, okay, what is the goal? What are the kids really trying to learn here? Because I know that you want their interests, and that's your mindset, right? You want them to be interested in what the lesson is, having their interests, be taken as a part of it. But you never told them what this, like the sequencing was the goal until midway.
I felt like, because I probably never heard the word before, that I was just going to start with the vocabulary, then into the story, and then use that story to introduce the term sequencing and what we're going to do.
And that's fine. It seemed very fast-paced, so it seemed like it was boom, 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 going down the line. And that's
even after I watched it, I got to slow down.
Yeah, and it happens to everyone, especially when you're teaching a lesson the first time. You realize, later, man, I should have slowed that down.
Totally.
Give them more time to do whatever the activity they're doing. And that's kind of where I was as I kept going. I noticed that, like, you give the kids groups, but then you were kind of picking out as you're going, and you were kind of rushing through. And
I was trying to get the groups with like higher ELs with the lower ELs so that they could help each other. But
are those preset groups?
In my head, yeah. I know them well enough now that I just on the fly I could do that.
Sometimes, like what I do if I know I'm going to do a group activity is I have the groups ready. So like I'll write down whatever groups I'm going to have, and I have them on a piece of paper, and then I already know. Because sometimes when you do that, it can take more time than you think.
Sure.
Grabbing those kids, and then you might have kids who are arguing about where they want to be because they know that you're not really sure where they're going to be. It just can help if you have it planned right away.
I didn't do it this lesson. Sometimes I will, because I want to make it look like it's random. I'll have their names in a bucket, and I'll have them ordered, and I act like it's random.
Yeah, no,
because I want these three together, or these two together. But it makes so they don't complain like, why am I with him or her or something like that.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
I'll use that more often.
Oh, and you can represent that in your next video. I think that would really help.
Sure.
I talked about the grouping. I said, and I've mentioned this before. I said that it seemed really fast-paced. I noticed that when you were doing activities, you get like 1 minute or a minute and a half or a little under 2 minutes. And like so you had them watch the video, and then you had them do the sequencing of the video. Now, you didn't really mention sequencing yet still. You just kind of gave them the paper and said, all right, I want you to order these based on the video, and go. And it just felt like you gave them no instruction on what to really do or what to look for, and then they just did it really fast, and then you showed them the answers. Give them a little more time to think and talk. Give them a little more time maybe to justify what they're doing, because you could have those groups talk together, like think as a group, and then pair maybe or talk to another group, and then talk as a whole class. You could have made it much bigger if you wanted, you know, because that story was a good story, and they did show great sequencing, and they actually were able to physically move those pieces around. Because I saw you move a group, and you said, oh, you got that one wrong. You kind of moved it, and they helped them fix it. Have them do that. Have them talk about why they were wrong. Why did they need to fix it?
Maybe they could even check each other, switch groups, check it.
Because this was a 15-minute lesson that easily, and I think I wrote that on there when I read your lesson, that this was 2 45-minute, it could have been a whole week worth of lessons, that it could have been multiple stories that they were building up to a big sequencing event where then they finally wrote their schedule.
I could even go back to that and do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because we only got so far with this lesson.
Absolutely.
Among other things, but I can totally go back.
I think that a lot of times, especially as a teacher myself, I jump things. You know, I jump the gun. I'm doing things really fast. I want the kids to be done at this time because I have so much I want to do. But sometimes if it's working and they're really learning, let it go. Let it keep going.
Yeah, okay.
And
I think I have that problem too. I feel like I need to get all this done in a day.
Yeah.
Things get neglected a little bit.
Absolutely. And I mean, they did learn and they were excited about what they're doing. They were interested. That was your goal. And I did say at the end that if your goal was to get them interested, they were interested. They were excited about it.
Yeah.
But if your goal is also to teach them sequencing, I think that was lost in the scheme of things, and just slow it down, give them more time, more practice. I think your assessment was ultimately in this lesson and it was a short lesson, obviously, but to have them give 4 sentences of their own day. I didn't see them really write anything down. Yeah. That could also be in helping them in their writing skills as well and organizing. You could actually physically have a paper that's set out and prepared for them to write those on there. And I don't know if you did that later or if you're planning on doing that, but that'd be a good way for them to even turn that into you so you can see their thought process.
Right.
Because if it's just verbal, then it's kind of lost, right?
That's just sort of, make it more of a summative.
It can be, you know, because it can be formative as well, because they're physically doing that, you're checking it immediately, but then also it's something they are turning into that you can hold on to and then assess them later on what they did. Because if it's a week-long event, then what was their work like in the beginning of the lesson, the first day, versus the end of the lesson on the last day? You know, how did their sequencing improve? Because on the first day, I'm assuming it wasn't very good. I mean, they probably didn't give you much details at all, but the last one,
simple details.
Yep, exactly.
And you know, my fault is I didn't extend it enough to maybe see how much details they could sequence, or their own story, or their own life, or something like a vacation they went on, or something.
Those are all a lot of things I was nitpicky, but I thought that you did a really good job. Your relationships with the kids are great. I mean, they all know you. They obviously respect you. Awesome. They're all really comfortable, which is good, because a lot of times you see kids that are not comfortable with the teacher. They're obviously shouting answers out sometimes, but at least they're participating. I mean, they're interested in the lesson where they want to shout out. And obviously you're like, oh, raise your hand, but it does show that you have a great relationship and they're excited about what you're teaching about.
Great.
That's good. So I thought it was good. I thought you did a good job. Obviously you have things to think about.
Perfect. No, that's great.
I'm sure that we'll see
in the next few videos.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah, perfect.
Until next time.
All right.